Hello, friends. Elise Anamkara here for Anamkara Astrology. I'm also known as Elise Edwards, also known as DJ Jouet, also known as Elise It Matters What You Say. And I am doing this live in celebration of the full moon in Leo. We are newly in Aquarius season, and we're seriously in Aquarius season because Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, is also in Aquarius. So it is really time to let your freak flag fly. And I put on the thumbnail that is the cover for this video, I put a quote from, I think it's Cosmic Muse Astrology, that said, "Remember who the fuck you are." And so that is what we are doing with this full moon in Leo. Leo is the performer, it's a benevolent monarch. In astrology, it also represents kind of like the adolescent to teenager. The teenager, our first entree into listening to that inner voice that of what makes us special, which I'm sure anyone here who is a parent of teenagers is totally over, because they're like, you haven't even proven that you can follow the rules, and now you want me to recognize your specialness. And there tends to be a want to shut that down. Hello, welcome, Chris Mack. Hello, Jenna. So remember who the fuck you are. I love that. Thank you, Cosmic Muse, for giving me that on the Instagram so that I could make it the cover thumbnail. We're remembering who the fuck we are. We should be expressing ourselves in whatever way we feel necessary. You don't have to do this. It doesn't have to be hostile, but also you don't need to be, you don't want to censor yourself, and of course, full moons are a culmination of what started with the new moon 2 weeks prior. And that new moon, of course, was in the sign of Capricorn, which is the CEO of the zodiac, the strategist, the person who understands and sets limitations and boundaries and goals, and then pursues them relentlessly. And then once it's reached that summit, it's just building more and more and more, and bringing whatever it is, feels is essential or special or important to scale. So if you want to know what it's actually bringing to scale, well, you'd actually have to go back to the preceding sign, which is Sagittarius, which is the theologian of the zodiac, the philosopher, the lawyer, the harbinger of good news and enthusiasm, the person who's is learned and wise and is both listening as well as instructing the collective as to what exactly the good word is, and asking us to come to a consensus about what the we believes are, so that we can write them into law, so that we can ritualize them in religion, so that we can print them in large quantities, large volume, and send this philosophy shooting out like the arrows of Sagittarius into all corners of the world, which is actually really crazy, because that just gave me the visual that I often get when I think of New York, Manhattan specifically, is I once read that the word Manhattan meant in, I don't remember which native language, which Native American tribe this language comes from, but that Manhattan meant like the land of long arrows. Either that's where they're made, or that's where they're sold, or that's where they are shot from. And once I learned that, I literally saw, the skyscrapers of of Manhattan as these like radio towers, and the arrows, these long arrows that are being shot in every direction, are these transmissions, these radio waves, these messages that are being shot from this center of advertising and consumerism, and that from the Western world, and they're being shot out in all directions. And this is where the land of long arrows is, and these long arrows can go a tremendous distance, and once it hits the ground, then the message spreads, and that's what it does. So that being said, whatever that enthusiasm, whatever the we believes are, then get capitalized on in Capricorn, where you secure the bag and you build methodically, and you put in structures, monuments, even to your to what it is that you're bringing into the world, so that they can stand the test of time. And that also means that it also places like limitations on things, and oftentimes we build faster, and we build better when we remove distractions. We remove anything that is not falling in line, anything that is we want to make things uniform, so that we don't have to deal with with one-offs. We can just assembly line things and make them secure, and we can structure them, and we have like really limiting parameters on things for the purpose of building quickly and efficiently, and having a stronghold that will, like I said, stand the test of time and be able to be built upon even further. Well, that's all good, and this also, like I said, happened 2 weeks ago, when there probably was and it does coincide with, of course, probably some of the stuff that we were maybe Capricorn new moon always comes along or around or just after the new year, when people have New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. So these New Year's resolutions that you may have been making, I don't know what yours were, but it is an 8-year, okay? 2024, it's an 8-year numerologically, and 8 does represent money and power. It also represents the fluctuation of money and power. It also represents the transformative energy surrounding money and power. So if you were feeling without money or without power, you might be looking to secure the bag. If you felt like you achieved a certain amount of wealth and power, you might be looking for ways to secure this. Yes, I am. Are you in New York City based on your zodiac sign? I am not. I did not come to New York City based on my zodiac sign. In terms of cartography, yeah, I am not living in a place that is really great for me to feel or be particularly valued, but I am in a place that I am going to be extremely challenged, and be able to transmute, creative energies and economic or security struggles into meaningful creative works, as well as being able to build a foundation for my own social security, essentially. So that's interesting that I bring up Social Security, because things are changing. Okay, things are changing, and what we may have planted our seeds with, or whatever seed that we planted 2 weeks ago with the new moon, and probably something around, getting back to work, getting back to business, getting back to securing the bag, X, Y, and Z. We may have taken on a new job, or we may have come back to the job that we had prior to the new year with a new level of commitment, with new goals in mind. Something that will help us secure, like I said, our own social security, economic security, to make our mark in the world. And this is happening externally. Well, now we've come to the sun is in Aquarius and the moon is in Leo, and we have shifted from the Capricorn axis. The Capricorn Cancer is a security axis, and now we are in the Aquarius Leo axis, which is the axis of not only self-expression but authenticity. All of the fixed signs are about authenticity. So 2 weeks ago, you may have planted the seed of, okay, I'm going to secure the bag. I'm going to go after this goal. I'm going to relentlessly get my finances in place. I'm going to make sure that my bank account is good. I'm going to, you know, open that TD Ameritrade and make sure that I put all of my, buy, sell, like limitations and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to follow all of the rules. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to whatever. Over these past 2 weeks, and what's coming to a head right now is realizing how quickly the world has changed in just 2 weeks, and how quickly you have changed in just 2 weeks, and how you realize that the old way of doing things, the old social security, okay, and the old definitions of security are in peril. And what's even worse is that you are in peril if you are insisting on pretending like agreeing to what the old guard set out as, the way of doing things, or this will give you security, just follow these rules, just follow us blindly off the cliff, just follow, just take this job and be thankful that you have a 401k, or, also, if you like applied for any jobs, or even applying for like a relationship. I mean, it all depends. If you want to know more about your chart, where this full moon is taking place in your chart, please contact me. I will be posting some kind of special for people, especially if you are on my Patreon. So please go ahead and join my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Elise Anamkara. But in any case, there is no more blind. Oh, can you hear me better now? That's weird. Okay. It didn't work before. Okay. So try again. Try on your own terms. The best thing that you can do with this time is just balance what your heart sings with what you set out to do 2 weeks ago, and we'll be doing. Oh, it's better now. Okay, good. Thanks for that. Yeah, you need to understand that Aquarius is where the sun is now, where Pluto is now. It does rule technology. It does rule things like the internet. There is power in the internet. There is power in technology. It will only be growing with time. Okay. So if you're afraid of the AI takeover, there's two things that you should probably do, which is one, learn how to use it to your own advantage while you still can, before there's limitations as to how you can access it and use it for your own individual means, or like for your own individual ends. And also, like, literally tune in right now. Okay. You should have been getting some really serious information over these past 2 days as to what makes you feel emotionally secure. Even especially, oh my gosh, anyone that's been having like weird dreams, or like, I don't know, just like old feelings just washing over you. This is, this is all information that like we're kind of like reliving parts of the past. And now that we have like relived them and survived it, we are also kind of getting that reemergence of like, oh, this is what it makes me want to express, or this is why it's good, or, oh, I remember that last time that I chose security over authenticity. And I remember how it was like a huge, crash and burn. And so shout out to the movie Hackers. And I don't need to relive that again. I just relived it in my dream state, or in some, occurrence that happened over the past few days. And now I'm here to just thankful that I'm alive, thankful for what I have, expressing myself while I still have the ability to, the freedom to, while I have the inspiration to, inspiring others to do the same. It's really, really important that we do that now. And it's also important that we don't fall into, what we have just been living in and experiencing over the past 15 years with Capricorn, that, oh, I have to have all of my shit together. The presentation has to be perfect. I have to know the right people. I have to have the right investors before I can even, I have to pay to play before I can even do that. Leo doesn't do that shit. Neither does Aquarius. Okay. So that is what we are. That's what we are that's like what we're maximizing right now. We have to remember who the fuck we are before we let the man or before we let, the laws, or before we let the, consolidation of power, or the mandate of falling in line, or that one size fits all is the best that society has to offer. So you better just fucking get on board, or be left behind. You don't even have to worry about being left behind right now. Just do what makes you feel happy, and do something each and every day that makes you feel happy. And, just make your own, metrics, essentially, make your own, whatever. Yesterday I was talking to my roommate and I was just like, yo, this full moon, I think I'm going to call this full moon. I think I'm going to call it, yo, fuck your data points, bro, because we're more than just data points. And right now we are being handled by, these larger institutions as just data points. So, go from a data point to a data explosion, overload the system just based on your own workload of authenticity. Nothing shakes up, nothing destroys, the Capricornian ability. Nothing destroys these systems of conformity like authenticity. It's pretty amazing. So right now, we're just having a resurgence. We're coming to a head that we just got to do whatever it is that really makes our heart sing, and that we're doing it. And the nice thing about having the sun and the moon opposite each other in this sign, but in this whatever that's called, this access of authenticity, is that there will be a balance between being fully authentic and letting your freak flag fly, and remembering how it is to have a stage presence and have something to learn. There's also this feeling of teaching and learning at the same time. And Aquarius is all about being your own alchemist. And oh man, just the whole, whatever that's called, the archetype of Capricorn and then Aquarius. Capricorn is so much that person that built it from nothing, built their job, built their business from nothing, and then maybe they've stepped down as CEO. They've let someone else be the CEO, but they're still standing by as the head honcho, and all this kind of stuff. And then as it's, they've delivered it to somebody else, but they're still relying on it to produce them the security. And then all of a sudden they say, hey, I don't need to spend my time here. Oh, I got all the security that I need out of this. I have a huge payout, or I have, huge payout plus, stocks and all this kind of stuff. And now let's go back to what makes my heart sing. And then they kind of step out. Or there's also the Aquarius that gets booted out of the system after bringing the whole system, building it and bringing it to the summit. And then they get overtaken, right? Because the power hierarchy that has risen up above, below them displaces them, and they have to leave or they leave as a rebel, or they leave as a reject of, society, or the very system that they built. Which is really crazy, because I can't tell you who this was, but early in my experience here in New York, I was an executive assistant. It was my first executive assistant job that I got as a freelancer. And this guy needed to hire a freelance executive assistant because he was getting himself situated again after having, I don't know, built the programming for what is now one of the largest financial institutions today. And then they took it and they ran with it, and he sued them. And they said, we're not giving you the rights to this, but we'll give you this huge severance package and a gag order, and you can set up shop somewhere else, or you can, be regulated to just one of the cogs in the wheel, and keep generating huge amounts of money for us. So, he did the former. He took some money and left, and didn't say who it was that this had happened to, that he didn't say the institution. Well, he wasn't supposed to say who it was that he worked for before. But in any case, I was his executive assistant, which was like doubling as a personal assistant, because basically he was, having to set up shop and try to get new clients and do all this kind of stuff around non-compete and all this stuff, like legal, whatever, all while, his family unit fell apart and his wife divorced him and like all this kind of shit. And so I just like really majorly saw what this looked like. And I was like, dude, you were the one that revolutionized that shit and helped them build. No, I didn't bang him, Rick Bloman. But I was like, wow, this is like so ugly. And I really didn't understand the full whatever that is. But in any case, you want to be the Aquarius who Aquariuses of their own volition, as opposed to the one who was like on top in the Capricorn, hierarchical power, like hierarchical authority structure, external authority structure that you helped build, that you played the game for, and you rose up and you did all the stuff. And then you get displaced because they've taken what you had to offer, and now they have put it in place, they've automated it, or they've, they've proven repeatable results using the system that you created under their system, under these rules. And then they were like, well, this works. Now, why don't we go and outsource this to someone who will do this for less money? Or let's do this for an AI so that they can do this 24 hours a day without a need to like go home and rest or eat or go to the bathroom or, see their kids, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know what that will be. Yes, this moon is considered the wolf moon. And you are reinstating, this full moon is all about reinstating being the prime, the prima donna of your own life, the first person character. You are reinstating yourself as the main character. And whatever, and where the full moon takes place in your chart, in your natal chart, is where that is taking place. That is where it's coming to fruition. This is where the energy of that is going. You need to express it. You need to take center stage in that capacity. Right now, for instance, it depends on which house system you're using. But for me, this full moon is taking place in my 8th house of other people's resources, sex, death, transformation, rebirth, secrets, all that kind of stuff. But Leo, the sign that the full moon is taking place in, actually rules my 9th house, which is that of philosophy and teaching and long distance travel and the law and all of these things. So I myself am going through a transformation. I am more holistically letting go of any need to, like, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't paid my SAG dues, like I am not like putting myself out there. I don't know if my agent knows that, like I am basically recommitting myself and dedicating myself to my teaching, my consultation, writing. I do have a comedy show that's coming up on February 3rd here in New York. But I just don't, like I have not paid into, nor do I want any kind of anything that, would require me to go back and participate, especially in an inauthentic way, or do anything that is unauthentic in order to regain my entry back into, the rat race of commercial acting inside the institution of commercial acting. By the way, SAG, after this whole strike, like just basically canceled. My understanding is that they've basically canceled the health benefits for their membership, and that's only after we were put through this like really long strike, and we still didn't get any of the guarantees that we aren't all going to be replaced or displaced by AI in like the next coming few years, which we definitely are going to. My roommate was just saying, like, oh, it makes sense that, he was saying, I think it's like, it's weird, the system, and the storytelling and everything like that is so like fractured and fractal that like they haven't been making any new movie stars. It's hard to make a movie star. It's hard to get bring someone from obscurity and then make them, a household name. And I was like, yeah. And that's why they are relying on these veteran stars, the very last of this old, system of like mega celebrity, because they know that Brad Pitt, even if you just have to repave his face using AI, in order to allow him to like play a younger character, or same thing with like Tom Cruise or Robert De Niro. He also loved the term repave one's face, and that is 100% what they're doing. It's like, yeah, let's just repave your face. That also is so damaging. I mean, there's already so much, people want to like look young forever. People want to stay young forever. People don't even remember what it's like to be young. Half of us were not even allowed to do that. I mean, how many parentified older siblings do we have here? How many neglected or, latchkey kids do we have here? Shout out Gen X, but also there's plenty of other generations prior to that were also latchkey kids. So, hashtag get some. But yeah, so before here's my overall statement on the whole situation. And I have to say that I am one of these people that has been like, okay, technology is useful, but I am not willing to participate in or be excited about AI displacing humanity, especially when humans don't even understand what it means to be human, have not fully embodied the blessed experience of being a spiritual being with a physical interface. Okay. We have been like slowly but surely letting go, or trying to release ourselves from what we have been told are inefficiencies and things that and vulnerabilities of humanity, like wanting love, like wanting acceptance, like needing connection, like having emotions, like all this kind of stuff that like, yeah, something that's been programmed and like that's brand new, and like that is a robot AI piece of technology, a non-human, you know what I'm saying, doesn't have to. Oh yeah, also having like things like hunger, like needing to use a bathroom, like all that kind of stuff, needing to sleep, all that kind of stuff. Like I have, prior to this, I mean, well, really prior to quarantine, was when I realized, like when I would go on these, both job interviews as well as auditions, that I started getting, especially if I didn't really care about the job, I would just go and I would be like, they'd be like, do you have any questions? And I'd be like, yeah, be honest. I was like, do you want a human being? Like, do you want me, or do you want a machine, essentially? And if they took a moment to be like, oh shit, yeah, I actually just want a machine, but right now we don't have that kind of abilities. So and I'd be like, yeah. Even if like the job was right, even if they were offering me the job, I was like, well, what you want is a machine, not me. And that means that this isn't a place where I will do well, because even if, after the rush of learning a new system or having a higher income or whatever has diminished, I'll be sitting here annoyed and dragging my heels, or I will, probably, even if it's subconsciously, find a way to like sabotage myself here. So why don't we just save ourselves whatever, and you move on to somebody who is a little more, happy to not be their authentic selves, or not, or like happy to hide parts of themselves in order to be the worker bee that you need, and all that kind of stuff. But also, I was magically re-employed by people who were like, oh my God, I need you. Like, something is coming to a head here where I need the kind of very focused, emotional support, as well as incredible attention to detail and can do attitude, and, this very human support system that you, Elise, can provide me, because, we have very important things coming up, and I don't, we can't, the person who's here now only knows how to check the boxes. They don't know how to check in on the CEO, or, don't know how to correspond with the different moving parts in a meaningful way or in a timely way. So even when I thought like, oh, well, I guess like there is literally no place for me in, the corporate world or in the professional world or whatever, all of a sudden someone else came out to me and was just like, I need you. And God, man, that felt good. So right now we are needing ourselves. We are needing ourselves to be the most authentic, awesome self, express what it is that makes you unique. Also, not to be a whatever that's called, a fear monger. But I don't know who else saw that. It was like Sharon Osbourne or Kelly Osbourne or something like that, talking about having a safe word. And this safe word is not for sexual situations, but I'm sure you can employ them there also if you are so inclined. But they were talking about having a word, like a authenticity password, essentially, that you come up with your loved ones. Okay, anyone that you plan on seeing in the future, and will continue to be part of your tribe, your survival tribe, your family unit, whatever you want to call it. And make sure that you are not discussing this online. Make sure that you are not discussing this around your Alexa or around Siri or whatever. Like, you should go totally like mob style, like no electronics, maybe submerged in water or in like a remote, like a remote, whatever that's called, like a sauna, like built in the, out of wood in the woods somewhere. Um, and you should come up with a word that, or a phrase that will allow you and your familiars to verify that you are who you say you are, as opposed to what might be like an AI generated composite of your face, your voice, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not making this up. This really was a conversation that was on either Kelly Osbourne's podcast or Osbourne's podcast or something like that, where they were informed by somebody else that they knew, who was like, oh yeah, this person, that called, I thought it was my daughter or something like that. And I thought, like there was like a ransom situation, and I could have 100% sworn that it was really this person. And I, found out afterwards that it wasn't. And so now that they are very exacting about space. Oh, Ray's going live. I had no idea. In any case, is he live right now? I can wrap this up. I meant to be doing this on my Patreon, but I just thought that this, like, remember who you are is so important. So again, with the remember who you are situation, I definitely would also recommend, what else would I recommend? Yeah, just like falling in love with who you are, what makes you special, that thing that like cannot be it can't be it can't be manufactured, even by a really well-trained AI. You have to like allow that to be there. You got to like you have to take chances on yourself, and for anything that didn't work out before, know that I love this line. It's from Rasalila. It's not a failure, it's feedback. And so that is like really true. It's not failure, it's feedback. And we do need to try again, try in a way that's meaningful to us. It's not the time to put like the stops on things, or because you feel like you don't know how to do it, or because it's never been done before. Right now is the time to alchemize the new way to do it. Be led by your own, heart space. Be your own genius. Bring your own Riz, as the bring your own Riz, as the kids are saying today. Riz being short for charisma. And I also think I'll also do a little ditty here on the Sabian symbols, bam, bam, because this full moon is taking place at, or took place, it was exact at 12:54 p.m. Eastern time. And it was taking place at 5 degrees, 44 minutes of Leo, which means that the focus of the lesson of this full moon is symbolized by Leo 6, the 6th degree of Leo. But I'm going to read the 5th degree of Leo really quickly so that we know what brought us to this place. And the 5th degree of Leo is rock formations towering over a deep canyon. And it says that things may have been smooth sailing for some time, but now you could be finding yourself trapped between a rock and a hard place. It's likely that the natural structure of your situation has carefully grown and developed over time. There is a history here, but this is only recognizable by obvious emotional and physical effects that are shown around you in the world. The soft spots have worn away and many hard edges have emerged. Right now, progress is at a precipice with the structures of the past pressing from behind. There seems to be no going back. Forward is probably the only way out. Anyway, some of the keywords of like where we're coming from, the what we call in karmic astrology, like the emotional, the karmic, it's a karmic background. It's a karmic, what has brought us to, this precipice, like what has brought us to the focus. So anyway, old structure. So like basically where we're coming from is a recognition that there's old structures and deep hazards. We're at a place, we're coming from a place where there's a choice of taking chances or standing still, possibly to our own peril. New takes on old situations, the forces of evolution, layers of permanence, no going back, stability behind, the unknown in front. And the caution here of like what we're coming from, the karmic condition, is having painted oneself into a corner, not being able to retrace one's steps, instability, erosion, cracks appearing, being on the edge, feeling like life is impossibly hard. So that is the lead in to this full moon, which is the Sabian symbol Leo 6, is an old-fashioned conservative woman is confronted by an up-to-date girl, which I think is also really funny because up-to-date girl, that's what my book says. But when I listened to part of this other astrologer, Kai Pacha, he said that the Sabian symbol was a conservative woman is confronted by a hippie girl. So I don't know if that was his interpretation or that's the book that he was reading from. But, the main focus, or like the lesson of this Sabian symbol, is conservatism challenged by changing energetic forms, letting one's hair down, renovations, learning experiences, business takeovers, different capabilities and talents, people acting and working together regardless of their differences, generation gaps, concentrating, face-to-face meetings. Oh my God, face-to-face meetings, it's fucking unheard of. Also, caution is denying the duality within, which there is no greater duality than, say, when you have a full moon like this, especially when there is a full moon and the moon is also opposing Pluto, the planet of power. Okay, do you understand that for the past 15 years, the mode of power has been corporate takeover, government and authority structures, hierarchies that just lead to a singular point of control, centralizing power. Okay, that's why you have, that's why most of Main Street is gone. By Main Street, I mean independent mom and pop stores. There is a reason why, there is less individual home ownership and there is more corporate for-profit, investment ownership of residential homes than there ever has been before. You know what I'm saying? We used to have AI and algorithms that were just looking for, oil or mineral deposits and stuff like that. And now we have used the same process of analyzing data points everywhere. So we know not only where to build where a new stoplight needs to go in place because of an increase in volume of traffic, but we are also using these same systems to generate, possible outcomes or the best outcomes that will also tell us, well, this is the best thing to, this is this 4 or like 5 family home is just in the range of what, most economists or most developers or investors are looking to do. It's going to be somewhere on this block. Let's start getting out the paperwork. Let's start putting in the what do you call that? The offering plan. Let's start getting because it was generated by a computer that was just told what it specifically is told to do. And it has no conscience, it has no soul, it has no whatever, it doesn't matter. The computer, while it's making these calculations of where the most profitable, investment can be made and in what time and all that kind of stuff, it's not considering the fact that, we'd have to mow down all this forest, or, we're going to have to build a parking lot on this garden or in this state park, or we'll have to, flood a small town that's been there for 400 years or something like that, so we can increase the amount of like hydroelectric power, which also, I don't know if you remember, but is technically the what starts the plot or the storyline that's of Deliverance, as well as the movie In Dreams. Interestingly enough, that's where the horror comes from. So there is a lot of interesting stuff going on. Some of the cautions also of this full moon is jealousy between people on different levels of being and different ages. Paying no attention to change, being afraid of it, derision, envy, fear, jealousy, age overriding feelings. So this is, again, a very ageless paradigm, like the access of self-expression and authenticity that and leadership through one's self-expression and authenticity that the Leo, Moon, and Sun in Aquarius represent right now. There is an agelessness to it. You should have this young, expressive person, like heart-led youth, excited and ready to take on the world and romanticizing itself and its own uniqueness and power and excited to share it with the world, as well as the older, learned, mad scientist ready to take everything that it knows and, go to the beat of its own drum because it has already known what it's like to take its enthusiasm, build something to scale with it, and know that sure, I left a monument either to myself or my former self, or, something for the ages to look back on. But now I'm not dead yet. Let's go back to what made me feel happy. Let's have a second, um, I don't know, I don't want to say adolescence, but like that teenager that is like ready to fucking take on the world and knows why it is doing it, and to lead from that space, but do it with like all of the new stuff that you have under your belt. It's really important. Um, Also, important time to get rid of the NPCs in your life. NPCs, the non playable characters in your life. Notice where they are arising. Okay. Notice when someone that you used to talk to, whether they be a personal connection, a professional connection, all that kind of stuff. People that are just like phoning it in, getting automated answers, all that kind of stuff. All those people can just get like taken off the something, or you can set up your own, whether your email rules or your own, automated responses and stuff like that. So if they have to be in your life, just have, make sure that they have a limited number of functions that that will address them the very few times that you have to interact with them, so that they don't take away this bandwidth, this heart space, this, excitement that we are maximizing. Like, we really need to bring to fruition that which makes us, um, that which makes life worthwhile for us right now. Because without like experiencing it, we won't have any opportunity to, bring it to fruition. And we need these things. Like, whether you're training an AI to do it, or you're like taking up ground that you gave up when you were like, I was just towing the corporate line, or I was just making sure that I got my pension, or I was just, um, doing what I was told by the governing parties is what was essential to be a good citizen and follow the line. Well, we're here to break the rules from a heart space now, from our own individual heart space. And that also magically blows open a lot of other space to have their own interests, values, self-expression honored. And magically, you did not have to give up any square footage. You didn't have to give up any of your own real estate. You didn't have to do anything else. Like, everyone is magically has their own resources, because when you do what's important to you and what your heart, has, like, doing what your heart sings has its own, it 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 just makes space. Like, it gives like endless energy. I'm on my I'm going to do another video that's only going to be available on my Patreon, that I'm going to be giving a short list of some things that I would recommend people do or improve or partake in to maximize their ability to do these things more meaningfully for themselves. That will be on a separate video. And last but not least, I'm going to read the Leo 7, or at least part of the Leo 7 Sabian symbol, which is the quest, okay, which is like the road ahead, essentially, of this meeting between, the old and the new, and that interface, and realizing that, like, we have differences, but we both have the right to, be ourselves and and exist in the same space, and that we have meaningful things to create in ourselves and through ourselves and with each other, and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, the wonder of the constellations of the stars in the night sky. It says the bigger questions are likely to be in your mind at the moment. Simple issues will be viewed against a backdrop of something greater. This helps to keep your life in perspective. This symbol is about the need to see the patterns in what is going on around you. Rather than looking at each thing separately, step back and see the wider view. Allow, whoa. Step back and see the wider view. Allow your imagination and intuition to create an inspiring vision that gives you answers and importance, and then act on this direction in your life. Yeah, so reminders of the patterns, by the way, that's all astrologers are. We are just observers of the patterns, and acknowledging them and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of patterns, let me talk about I have questions as to whether or not this person I don't think he's an NPC, but he might be. But I don't know if you guys have seen this guy who's like the numerologist, this GG33 guy, GG33, this Gary Grinberg, I think is what his name is. Anyway, he's a numerologist, and I have been served so many of his videos on YouTube recently. And yes, he is a gifted numerologist, and I do not know what to think of him. I do not believe in telling people to like censor themselves and all this kind of stuff. Whenever I hear something that I don't like or I don't agree with, I'm happy to confront it. If it wants to confront me back, that's great. I can, depending on what phase the moon is in and what sign, might depend on whether or not you get a reasonable debate from me, or if you get some smug condescension, or if I just light your ass on fire. You know what I'm saying? I am a tidal creature, and I allow myself to have all facets of me expressed, and understand that they'll be activated at different times by different things. So in any case, I think that this guy is really interesting because he does talk about the patterns in the universe, and like it's all numbers because, everything is numbers, everything is frequency. Do you take on board the Schumann resonance, which is a measure of non-physical energy in the air around us? I mean, I imagine so. I'm not familiar with Schumann resonance, but I am constantly aware of different aspects of, we are all energy. Everything is energy. Okay. And nothing exists in a vacuum. In fact, the only thing that exists in a vacuum is science. Okay. I don't know if you've like realized that, but like science as we know it today, as in experiments that are conducted using the scientific method to, based on a hypothesis. We're utilizing scientific method um, to find out at the end of this, rigorous process where all of the variables have been accounted for, and there's controls and all this kind of stuff. Whether or not after the end of the experiment and after several repeat experiments of the same process, whether or not the results of this totally contrived, basically in a vacuum, like using, making an environment that doesn't actually exist anywhere because it's like in a vacuum, whether or not at the end of this, repeatable results have, are a result of it, and whether or not they support or reject the hypothesis made prior to starting the experiment. So I'm not saying that science is bad. I'm saying that there's a difference between science that is the art of science, okay? Like what real science is. Like there is, it's like the left brain and the right brain of science communicating with each other to make meaningful results and stuff like that. And then there is the cult of science, which in my experience has been used to thwart as much in, authenticity and integrity and imagination and vitality, meaning of the human experience as any control mechanism or ideology or government or religion or anything like that. So always be aware of whatever it is that you are taking part in, especially including the things that your heart is telling you to do. Because something that is also a possibility, especially with by the way, Mars and Mercury are both in Capricorn still. So we're not out fully of Capricorn energy, and Capricorn energy is actually really good. It's really beneficial. It gets stuff done. I'm sorry, Mercury, Mars. Hold on a second. Mars and Mercury and Venus are all in Capricorn right now. Is that right? I think so. It might just be Mars and Venus. No, Mercury's in there too. Yeah, Mercury's definitely in there too. In any case, we're fucking serious about getting our values seen, heard, accomplished, which means that we actually have a lot of energy and stern energy and discipline. Okay, discipline in our value systems and getting them accomplished. Okay, whether that be, the way of reverse engineering, taking the overall goal or value and reverse engineering it into small, meaningful, accomplishable tasks to then like build up to that overall, whatever it is, being serious about your values, being serious about your self-value, being serious about your valuables, okay, how you, what bag you have and what bag you're securing and how you do it. We're going through a vexing process. This is collectively. We are going through the vexing process of taking like self-expression and what makes us unique, okay, and finding a way to integrate that uniqueness into this very serious, you know, um, like need for security and purpose and business. Like we don't know. It's not an easy interface to be like to experience, but that's what we call a quincunx is in astrology, is that. And I have a Leo sun with Mars, quincunx my sun in Capricorn. So what motivates me, how I take action, is in a constant battle with Leo just wanting to express itself and being like, no, like I'm great and you're great and like let's have fun and like let's, put on a show. My Mars is like, no, this needs to be done like with purpose. It needs to be done seriously. We need to put some parameters on it. We're not sending anything out there that looks bad or shitty. And so that's how you sometimes either just get nothing from me, or, I show up and sometimes I'm just like someone said, who was it? Patrick Melton or whatever, who said that you're like, oh, Elise is a low effort loser. And I'm like, you know what? It might look like a low effort loser, but it took every fiber of my being to like get out there and overcome like, perfectionism or putting everyone else's needs or wants before mine or doing all this shit or going and, doing something, but not like, capturing it on camera or sharing it with, people on the internet because, well, there's other places where it can be shared and it can be more meaningful. And, it's really important to do that. So let's see. Dingbat said, Wolf Moon can also mean that Satan and the forces of Saturn will be at full power. Well, I don't think so. That I feel like those forces already have been at power, and actually, right now we are seeing a fractalization of what that power is. But you can only diffuse the power of what you're talking about, which is these larger authoritative like mandates and stuff like that. You can only chip away from their power by aligning with your own, by reminding yourself that you have your own power. Remember who the fuck you are. That is why I have that thumbnail, that image as the beginning of like the title screen or the thumbnail, the cover image for this podcast. Again, thank you, Cosmic Muse. Yeah, remember who the fuck you are. Okay. And it's really important. It's really cool because once you do that and you go to places or you stay in places that, where you're being your authentic self, even if you feel like I'm not going to be accepted, just being there and showing up, all of a sudden, people that like you resonate with, people that have a soul. It's like what's it, They Live? Is it They Live, right? Where he like puts on the glasses and like he realizes that guy, he's like, oh, you aren't one of them. Amazing. Like, we need to work together. Like, and then remember how like they fight and stuff like that. They have like that super long fight and They Live. Everyone go back and watch They Live. Okay. And also, if you like me had to, I was really excited. I was happy to see my like family and, my parents and stuff like that during the holidays. But there was one point where what should have just been a really nice time was me surrounded by a table of really accomplished baby boomers. Okay. Literally jizzing themselves over Oppenheimer. Like, there was no other conversation at the table other than how amazing Oppenheimer was and how amazing, um, just how amazing and how it didn't feel like 3 hours and it was so engaging. And this is like, they are still on this like level of like, this is like the most important thing. And we're like reliving the thing that motivated all of us to do all of the things and say yes to all of the systems and mandates and all that kind of stuff. Oh no, you're in the hospital. That's not good. Also, I have got to say, because the moon is in Leo, protect your heart. Not protect it, but like take care of your heart. Listen to your heart. Like, you need to listen to your heart, not just in a metaphoric way. Okay. We're talking about literally listen to your heart. By the way, heart issues and where it is that they come from. Okay. Getting a blast of Aquarian light, which is exposes, okay, it exposes the things that were done in the institution of Capricorn. Now like Aquarius can be the person who's, now that they've stepped outside, they don't care whether or not they're ostracized by the system. Maybe they already have been, or they left the system because they realized in order to keep participating in the kingdom of Capricorn, you had to fucking bounce out and just be like on the fringe and be like, well, now that I'm not relying on the security of your system, I can say with my own authority and experience inside and outside the system that this is why this is happening. Sorry, you work there inside the system? Oh, okay. You're at the hospital. You haven't had 5 grand mal seizures. Well, just saying that the moon is in Leo. Leo is controls the heart and the spine. And Aquarius has like some weird something, but I also associate it with the nervous system. So, of the electrical system, essentially, of the body. So, um, you know, that's what we're no talk of grandchildren or anything. So anyway, if you ever find yourself in the company of a bunch of baby boomers that, like I said, are just like creaming themselves over what's that called? Oh, Oppenheimer. Okay. Ask them how many times or when's the last time that they watched War Games. Okay. See if they understand why it is that you ask them about that. Okay. Because they might not understand the interface. Some of them might. I'm always surprised when my dad doesn't understand stuff like that because, he was like studying computer science in between, like around the time that War Games, like he probably got like a master's in computer science around the time or just before, War Games came out. Oh, yeah. My dad, I have no idea. I mean, my mom loves to talk about the grandchildren. My mom is all about the grandchildren, but then she's also very concerned about stuff. And she did not see Oppenheimer. She probably didn't see Oppenheimer the same reason why she did not watch Titanic. And I quote, because I know how it ends. That is why she did not watch Titanic. Interestingly enough, my stepmother did the same thing, but with The Crown. So last year, I think 2 years ago when I saw them, I gave them 2 pieces, 2 programs to watch, and one was, of course, Ted Lasso, which I think is hilarious, and I knew that it would be some much needed comic relief while maintaining a high level of intelligence, which I know that my dad and my stepmom really would appreciate. And then I was like, oh, and you guys have to watch The Crown. And they said that they love them both. They thanked me so much for the recommendations. They actually watched them. So being able to make recommendations that my dad and my stepmom and my mom, which she didn't take any of my recommendations, which is par for the course. But my dad and my stepmom basically were like, oh my gosh, these things were great. And then when I asked them about it recently, I was like, did you watch the last season of The Crown, or the last 2 seasons of The Crown? And my stepmom was like, actually, once it got to the Princess Diana storyline, we stopped watching it. I was no longer interested in watching it because I was alive. I was present for that. And I just didn't need to see it again. And I was like, what the fuck? What? Do you not understand the purpose of storytelling is for you to see something, whether you were present, like alive at the time, and seeing it from another point of view, you know what I'm saying? And to recognize that there are different viewpoints. And The Crown is really a story from the view of the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth II. So, oh, interesting. I did not know that. Yes. Okay. I have got to put this up here. First off, I love this, Chris Mack. Thank you so much. Yes, the boomers would rather talk movies and war rather than discussing their grandchildren. That's because they probably are like, well, you know, um, they're not going to be alive much longer because of things like Oppenheimer. No, and then okay, dingbat. Obama's End of the World movie was released with 4 audio tracks. Normally, there is one, Very Harmful Frequencies. Very interesting. I would love to know more about that. Also, I think you're talking about Leave This World Behind, which can we please have a discussion right now? Because I love Mr. Robot, okay? And Sam Ismail, the guy who wrote and directed, right, Leave This World Behind, which then was produced by the Obamas, I imagine with other people, but I don't know for sure. My concern is I thought that Mr. Robot was a culmination of all of the stuff that came before and was a warning. I thought Mr. Robot was a warning and an exploration of what is making us the way we are and what level of uh, whatever that we are in now. Corporate takeover, being hostages in this large, technocracy, being like peasants or whatever in this huge like technocracy and all that kind of stuff. But now I'm concerned if like Sam Ismail has like already, been if he was used as a very gifted storyteller as he's part of like the psyop or whatever. So I don't know. Let me know in the chat and in the comments whether or not you actually watched Mr. Robot and or Leave This World Behind, because yeah, it's I would like to know whether what your thoughts are on those things, because I find them interesting. And as for remember who the fuck you are, okay? When I went outside earlier this morning with my cup of coffee and sat on my bench and was contemplating what exactly I was going to do and say for the full moon, because I have a ton of thoughts. Only some of them got written down. And I was just like, I think I'm just going to be me. And while I was just sitting there, this guy, this like older, I'm going to say he's an older Asian dude, was walking past. Apparently he's one of my neighbors. And he told me, he was like, you remind me of Trinity. And I was like, what?
He was like, Trinity from the Matrix. He was like, you remind me of her. He was like, you look like her, you know? You're just like, yeah, there's something about you. And yeah, I was wearing like a long black coat and I had black boots on and I was sitting on a thing, but he just kind of, I saw very seen. I felt very seen. And now I have met my new neighbor and someone who I have actually I have seen just like make this same little, walk around the corner to and fro, who totally looked like he could have been an NPC. Somehow I was sitting in a place that I often sit or, sit regularly, maybe not at the same time every day or maybe not every day, but this someone that I kind of thought was an NPC. And I'm like, oh no, maybe I'm acting like an NPC. And then all of a sudden this NPC becomes like Anam Cara, and Anam Cara is a soul friend, which is someone that you knew from the other side and that to remind you that this isn't like your first rodeo and like to stay the course, you know what I'm saying? See ya, like have a good time. So it's like to give you that energetic reinforcement that you've been here before and that there's more to reality than just what meets the eye. So you have to make sure that you have like all of your senses on and that you're really like maximizing all of that. So let's say here, oh, looking good, Elise. Thank you so much. Also, I watched the first Mr. Robot season for sure. Maybe the second one, two, I don't remember, to be honest. Anyway, Mr. Robot from cover to cover, it is grisly. It gets like some in there, but you know what I really I felt very satisfied by the ending, which gives you understanding of where it begins, like the why. It actually provides you with the why behind all of the everything, which I think is very necessary and beneficial and rewarding. And by the way, it is true. The overall why for all of this stuff to happen is basically the same why that we have over. It's a universal why. So again, I'm very interested to know whether or not Sam Esmail made that from an honest place and then got co-opted by Team Saturn, or if he recently was contracted by Team Saturn, or what happened. Let's see here. Okay. Obama's movie Leave the World Behind, when downloaded and put into an editing program, has 4 audio files instead of the standard one of the audio files is just a low frequency infrared. Dingbat, do tell me, please, do you think that is for a purpose other than the storytelling? Do you think it was to create a level of static or like dissonance in our regular brain wave activity? Do you think it was trying to somehow neutralize the neural networks in us for nefarious reasons, or for the purposes of having a low grade level of dissonance, discomfort that the whole movie builds on? It's never been done before. They say that all 440 hertz music has a negative effect on humans. Well, there's a 440, there's a love frequency that's around there. And my understanding is that there's a frequency that is utilized that's like a few hertz short of what this like really like blessed tone is that like creates like harmony. It's like right up, it's literally like the love frequency, or like and maybe it's like around there. I don't know. What is that? I think it's, oh no, I can't remember which frequency is higher. All I know is that there is something about that around, that's 444, isn't it? It could be, which is interesting because, the number 444 in numerology, well, in angel numbers, okay, that 444 is a healing number. And 444 is the angel number attached to the archangel Raphael. And Raphael's name means God heals. So love heals, right? And so that's a healing frequency. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what it is, but I hear that there is some kind of, yeah, there is a taking away from, it just reminds me so much of like how much of this world and how much of the things that we think are what they say they are, or like what we assume them to be based on what they look like, are just the form of what they are supposed to be or what we think they are without the content. So this is a time to be very much your infectious, authentic self and express it, because otherwise you will not have been able to do that, and you will, there's no turning back there. Like whatever was in the past is not there anymore. And you need to put on your they live glasses. Okay, you need to like boot up your best programs and go and find like what it is that you want, and like have access to it, and do all that kind of stuff. Oh, there's 963 hertz too. A few conspiracies, a very few conspiracy theories left. What do you mean by conspiracy theory? I mean, I know that that is a popular term that was originally generated by the intelligence community around the time of, in the wake of the John F. Kennedy assassination. So let's be specific about what we mean by when we say conspiracy theory. One of the best ways, this is very important too. So, oh my gosh, oh, thank you so much for giving me a reason and a way and a platform to be able to express my full moon in Leo in my 8th house. And that is origins. I'm obsessed with origins. Okay. Origins are so fucking important. Okay. And so this is very, very important. By the way, I've been doing a lot, and I mean super deep dives into human design, in addition to astrology. Like I've just like broken through an understanding of like how they correlate exactly and how to utilize them in tandem in much more useful ways. So, and the human design deals with resonance on a very literal level. So it takes into account that energy moves through you, to you, and through you, and or is generated from you and through you in different ways. All of our instruments are different. They're like organized differently and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, back to origins. If you are having a question about something, so for instance, I am a sacral generator, okay? I need to be asked yes or no questions and allow my sacral chakra to respond, which it will on its own in a very instinctive manner. It's almost animalistic, okay? How just raw yes, no, or if it has no response, that's a no. And it's interesting because if something that used to, like if you are a sacral generator like me that has this very instantaneous response, the truth is only in the moment. The truth like does not exist before or after it. The response, the impulse is right in the moment. If something that used to give you a yes, no, or, like never tip the scale either way before, it's all of a sudden acting differently, that is a sign to reach in to like go find the IP address, you know what I'm saying? And see if it's like coming from the same place, because the chances are that things that you used to have that you used to resonate with or didn't resonate with having a different effect on you right now. I mean, it could have to do with a little bit of a change in your own like resonance or system. But the real thing is, and I think it's obviously it's more, I think we'll probably be seeing a lot more of it. I'm teaching this as a survival tool, okay? But if something that doesn't resonate with you, go back and see and make sure that the nuts and bolts, if it's still coming from the same place, or like I said, if it's just a composite, if it's a regeneration, a manufactured version of it, a clone, a drone, or whatever. Okay, let's see here. I think he's saying most of them have been proven true already. You got it. Yes, I don't think this is very real, very harmful, and on purpose. Sheep are asleep, unfortunately. I mean, so that's what we're doing. We are waking up. Like, this is another purpose of this full moon right now. Okay, I don't really know why it's called the wolf moon. I didn't go back and look at the naming of that, because like that's just it's just not my bag. I mean, the same thing that like my birthday often falls around the sturgeon moon, and I still don't know what the fuck that means. Like, it's just a different set of data points, if you will, that just has not really hasn't been very hasn't been very profound on my value list, or hasn't registered as such. So part of being your authentic self is waking people up. It's waking yourself up and like actually making a present and a future that is in alignment with you, outside of what the fears or the rules or the mandates or stuff like that that you may have like fallen into before. um, there's just kind of like a now or never moment about this. And even if you felt like you painted yourself into the corner, like, don't feel, if you feel like you're being your authentic self very suddenly right now is going to burn to the ground everything that everything that you worked for up until now. It's also a thing of believing and understanding in yourself and your own authenticity and your own power of the individual, that you'll be able to recreate, regenerate any of the benefits that you got from not being your authentic self and living in that paradigm. You'll be able to make it again through your own authentic self multiple times over again. You'll make a repeatable process that you will have alchemized, that you will have like created, manufactured, like experimented with, and come up with like as a result of your own volition, and that it will be that much more meaningful to you. That means it will be that much more easier of a, something to stick with, something that makes you like proud, something that gives you like constant, whatever, something that you can like pass on to your children, something that you can actually teach, to other people. It's also like, you don't need to be known by everyone. You need to be known by the right people is like also something. So, anything that you used to do. Oh, interesting. I'd say, oh no. Yeah, sturgeon is a fish, right? Dude, I don't even know, bro. Let's see, dingbat. Hospitals are moving vid to EOL wards as soon as they arrive. End of life wards. Okay, wait, they're moving VED. Like, what's VED? What's VED? Oh my God, tell me what VED is. Okay, Chris Mack, or the former First Minister of Scotland, whose WhatsApp messages seem to have been mysteriously deleted. Have not heard about that. Oh, interesting. They're getting moved. Shut the front door. Chris Mack, are you serious? Who here works in the, are you serious? Oh my God. Whoa. Yeah. Like there's so much stuff happening. Like there's something that I feel very like in the past couple of weeks. I mean, certainly since, so on the 20th, January 20th is when the sun moved into Aquarius. And then 11 hours later, Pluto, the planet of power, moved into Aquarius. Power and regeneration that happens after death and forces transition and rebirth. It also represents the soul's will, okay, whereas Mars represents the ego's will, okay, which keeps the human alive and procreating. Instead, Pluto represents the soul of all of us, like the whole system. The soul that is powering the soul of the whole system has its own will and has its own need to experience the full power of itself to destruction. So for the purposes of it regenerating on the next level of consciousness, the next, part of the journey. Anyway, so what's interesting is that the sun and Pluto met at that night at the 29th degree of Capricorn before the sun, and then Pluto moved into Aquarius. So that's called the anaretic degree, which is the last degree of a sign, which is both, it encapsulates the, like, because it has that, planet or whatever has gone through all of the steps of the, all, up to, there's 30 degrees in a sign, and it has gone through the entire process of that sign. It has learned to fully embody itself, and all, and you, so it has the most maximal, like, essence of that sign. It is fully embodying the consciousness of that sign, the purpose of that sign. And in doing so, it's like starting to, like, lose its face into the next sign. It is like already starting to discorporate. It is this, like, last gasp of air. I often talk about the anaretic degree as I learned about it, which is like, let's say, when someone is about to die, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say someone is getting strangled to death, okay? That there's this, like, last gasp of, like, air, this, like, last, like, fight, that is, like, completely unconscious, but it's like the maximal, it's literally, I don't know if it's your autonomic nervous system or like what it is that's, like, kicking in. It has the fullest life force in it, but it's a struggle to, like, keep it going. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at the same time, it's both maximal as well as, like, diminishing, like, almost simultaneously. That is what the anaretic degree is. So when we say that the sun, consciousness, and what is being brought to light, life force energy, and um, the planet of, you know death and destruction. Also, it's a planet, Pluto also rules disease. And I know that there's a lot of conversation about disease X, which, like, what are people going to do when they find out that all of these things have been created in a lab? You know what I'm saying? Like, not just what's going on now, not just what's coming out in the future, but, like, all of them, like, that's something that man, I should probably just be doing this on Rumble or something like that. But, like, what are people going to effing do when they realize that everything that has been used to control what we do for our own safety, for the safety of ourselves, our family, of others, of being a good citizen, have largely been used to, were created, and then we're, everything. But there's three that I got a really specific download and or download of during quarantine that I was like, oh shit, that's unfortunate. Why don't people talk about this? Why don't people know? Oh, that's why they don't. Anyway, and then also it reminds me, and it's funny because so many people have been bringing up Albert Hoffman, who is the guy, the scientist who synthesized LSD, as well as Hunter S. Thompson. I've been hearing people, like, that are way not into either of those people talking about both of them. And what I always love to talk about is, and even the Sabian symbol of, like, the karmic condition from where we're coming from, this rock formations towering over a deep canyon. What's his name? Said, someone quoted Hunter S. Thompson, one of my favorite astrologers, quoted Hunter S. Thompson and said, what's Hunter's like saying? He says, believe in God and paddle away from the rocks. Like, you can do them both at the same time. Like, you definitely want to believe in the higher power and in the divine, as well as taking you're using your physical capability to get yourself out of danger. Don't just do one or the other. Maximize the chances of survival and of desired outcome by utilizing both ends of that consciousness, actively acting on them, applying it. I might have to put this on Patreon too. Yeah, I should probably put this on Patreon and take it off the internet because, this has, like, a lot of information that will probably be censored and put me on a list if I'm not already on one. So woohoo! But also go back and watch Hackers. I am going to do a entire something on hackers. I know, dude, I really, 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 really think this now. It's, like, very concerning. Yeah, there's just like too much stuff. And then also, okay, what does this say? Oh, yeah. There's anything. So, let me just say that again, in terms of the origins of things, make sure that you look to make sure that something, including in yourself, is coming, like where it's coming from, and knowing whether or not it's coming from the same place. And this is incredibly important. Like I said, like with whether it's someone or something that you engage with online, whether it's a product that you have, that you use, or especially a food that you consume. If it like you open it up and it just like doesn't look right or doesn't taste right, or like it just something is wrong. Your art need to listen to have a 360 awareness, as well as that like comes from an inner resonance, is so important. And I know that I've talked about this online earlier, or at different points in time, but I have a friend, actually, one of them, I think it's Carlos Danger, said that he knows this or has heard of, or, somehow interacted with a friend of mine who's a filmmaker named Cody Clark, who's also really awesome. And by the way, he's doing one-on-one consultations for getting, if you have like an idea about a joke. He's like a very experienced filmmaker. He makes guerrilla films. He makes very expensive looking films on shoestring budgets. And he is very prolific, and he's trying to raise money for, I can't remember if it's his uncle or something like that, but he is putting a special service out there for anyone, whether you just have like an idea, or you, whatever it is that you want to make a movie. He will sit down with you and give you the nuts and bolts of that, and for a very reasonable price, for to get that kind of professional consultation. And all of the money is going to help a family member of his that is having some kind of health crisis or something. Um, oh yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it's all. Oh no. You guys, my mom is calling me, which means that there's something serious happening. Once I'm about to like stumble onto a truth, my mom calls, because that means that something is like pulling on her. Like we're still kind of connected via this psychic umbilical cord. And so what I perceive as like a psychic impulse or something that's like coming from like somewhere else, my mom just knows as worry. So it's a messy situation. Oh my gosh, look, she's FaceTiming me. Get out of here. Scram, clown. Anyway, I am gonna wrap this up. This has been very beneficial, I hope, and rewarding for all of us and whatnot. Um, anyway, sorry about that. Nice stream. Thanks, Jenna. Anyway, I meant to put all of the stuff in the stuff, but I can't right now. I mean, I'm sure I could if I went back to YouTube and do all the stuff, and I'll put it there after this is uploaded and whatever. And then I'm probably going to take it down and put it on my Patreon, and then I'm going to do the further Patreon notes on there for my paying customers. Also, like I said, I'll be doing a bunch of some specials and whatnot. And I'm actually going to be doing the specials, one, because I am going to be doing a lot more of the human design, which, by the way, is a combination of it's like the getting like on a very mechanical. It's astrology slash Myers Briggs slash like Eastern philosophy for people that only operate on, like, they just need like the left brain, like yes or no's, like, you know what I'm saying? They don't have any time to let things resonate with them. They just like want the answers, or like, no, how do I apply this? How do I apply this now? That is superhuman design. Um, and but also because my prices are going to be going up, and I'm going to be putting on the calendar some things for in person, including in person retreats, and hopefully some in person, like a series of classes and stuff like that, because I will be I'm going to be incorporating all of the stuff that I know instead of going back and forth between non-teaching and having to learn someone else's like system. And I'm not even talking, I'm talking just like in the world. Basically I'm like giving myself space to put together all the things that I know so it can be a singular offering and then like move on from there, as opposed to going back and forth and just losing steam and just hating it. That's where I feel like I'm starting back from like square one, but it's going to be fine. Had to delete. What did you have to delete? I'm interested now. Um, yeah, if there's anything that I do know for sure, this is based on Chris Max Hellman. I'm not going to put it on the chat, or I'm not going to put it on the thing here. But also, if you, I'm also, I think I still have a few moments, but there is a calendar that Rosalila is putting out that I am looking to buy myself. So if you want to donate to that, it is $45. It's $50 with shipping, but it's very important because it's his calendar. I recommend you buy one if you're interested in seeing what all the transits are, so you don't have to rely on me, even though you're always welcome to check in with me. I try to put them on my Patreon as often as possible as well. But then he also has the original paintings of a visionary artist named, I think her name is Selena Jane, something like that. Your mod. I don't have a mod. I don't have who's modifying stuff. I don't know what that who's is it. It's not me. And I don't have a mod whatever for this particular stream. I don't have a moderator. So you basically just got booted by, the powers that be. Anyway, some things to think about. Instead of dad, we have Dodd, okay? And we have had that for a long time. And then Dodd is actually pretty close to God. I don't know if you know what Dodd is. And also both of those are also close to DOS, which is also something which most of us, I think, in this chat right here were alive before DOS was a household name, but then also probably were coming of age by the time DOS. It deleted my hospital chat. Get out of town. Did it really? No way. No, I see it. Oh, well, there's this one. That one's still up here. But you mean like the other one about the EOL? Is that really what's happening? We're gonna have to talk later. Let's start a group in the in the whatever something, Oh, here it goes. I see it. Does that mean that my blood will be at a premium? Like if I go and donate blood? I just put it back on there. Is it not on there? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, this has been real. And how fun was it for that guy to recognize me as Trinity? You know what I'm saying? And just be like, you're Trinity, man. You like remind me of Trinity. You look like Trinity out here. And I was like, I am Trinity. Thank you for reminding me. I'm Elise, but I'm Trinity. You deleted it. Why would you delete it? It didn't get deleted, bro. It's still there. Anyway, if you want to support the channel and my work, feel free to, you can book a reading at amkaraastrology.com. You can make a donation or whatnot. It's on Venmo. It is. I think I have this stuff on whatever, but it's fine. It's weird on that end. What do you mean? I don't understand. Venmo is that. PayPal. Oh, that and that. And if you're a Cash App gangster, what's that thing called? That's my thing on Cash App. But more importantly, if you can, yeah, just like comment below, share with your friends, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I'll probably leave this up for the rest of the day and then put it on my Patreon, but I have to get to doing my Patreon only stoof. So be well. And this has been Elise Adamkara for Adamkara Astrology, as well as the Elise Edwards Experience. And make sure you're doing something that your heart sings, that your soul sings, because you need to celebrate the fact that you have a soul, okay? Because not all the things that look like they're living and breathing and interacting that you're interacting with do. So enjoy the things that do. Remember what the resonance of your soul is, and that way you'll be able to know when things have a soul. Without being told whether or not they do. Anyway, that is all. Peace. Thanks for joining, friends. Until next time, all the bless.